Hey, good morning. So, we're going to continue a little bit now with our Save NOLA Heritage Tricentennial Underground Moments. I'm here, and this was erected October 20th, 1950. I'm at the corner of Tulane and Loyola, right by City Hall. Canal Street's just that way. What impresses me here is what this says, and this is the same ladies who erected just down the street of Tulane a plaque to a Confederate soldier in 1949. So 1 year later, they're making this. It's hard to understand that these women were on both sides of the coin. And what they say here is dedicated by the citizens of New Orleans as prominent evidence of their determination to maintain the democratic principles of free enterprise and individual liberty as set forth in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. So here they're talking about individual liberty and the Declaration of Independence. But this walkway, which if you're going to a Saints game, I want to show you because it's a great walkway. Right behind that, starting right here, and you can see all these plaques. And I'm going to show you a few of them. And that marker there is to the women that fought in World War II, to the women. And on the other side of this walkway, which was done in 1976 to honor New Orleans and the BiCentennial of America, but it's really about the events of New Orleans, there's another marker to the women in the Marines for World War II. What I like about this walkway is, it actually starts with Bienville finding the city. And there must be probably about 60 of these markers. So you could see what happens in 1719. The Ursulines come in 1727. We have 1721, the first hurricane. Charity Hospital. 1742, Bienville resigns. Spain takes over in 1762 rather. We have the Acadians in 64 arriving. So you can come here one day and just see the whole history of New Orleans, when the police force was created. Up here, Battle of New Orleans. Louisiana becomes a state in 1812. And what I really liked, as we go through this, is here we get into, there's a marker here. Lafayette Square. I don't know who Beltrami was, but I'd love to find out because he's Italian. The French Market in 1830. Jackson Barracks in 1834. The railroad, Pontchartrain Railroad, I think that was out to the lakefront, you know. However, there's a big marker coming up. It's very important. And again, right here, we see to the Army nurses and all the women of the Army erected in 1962. Okay, so this marker here is what caught my eye yesterday at going to the Saints game. Norbert Rillieux sugar process, 1846. So who was Norbert Rillieux? I'll let you see that marker there to the women and the officers here. Norbert Rillieux was one of the best black engineers of the time. We're talking 1846. This is pre-Civil War in New Orleans. He's a free man. Okay? He invents and gets a patent on distilling sugar using a 3-pan evaporation process. He's a chemical engineer, which I originally started to study. So I love the fact that we're honoring chemical engineers. His idea was the heat that it took to get the evaporate the water and get just the sugar. You realize, Europe was really addicted to sugar as we are today. That's why sugarcane became such a big crop. And really the whole slave trade started was the Spanish got addicted to sugar. So they wanted sugar. They wanted slaves over here in America harvesting sugar in Haiti and the Caribbean to get them their sugarcane. So he invents a way that's a lot safer. And the deal is that you evaporate it and lower the pressure. By lowering the pressure, you can boil at a lower temperature. That makes the flames and the heat less severe and eliminates the injury that was happening to people where they were, and actually slaves, as they were making sugar from sugar cane. So he gets a patent on this. He ends up moving back to France. Well, he was born here, but he moves to France because he just wants to get into the French culture. And later he invents another process as an elder man on sugar beets. But what's also amazing is his brother, Vincent Rillieux, gave the eulogy for PGT Beauregard. At that time, everybody was, not everybody, but a lot of people were getting along. And roughly half of the African Americans in New Orleans were freemen of color, like the Rillieux. So Ernest and PGT, they were all getting along, and they were trying to figure out how to unify the school district, desegregate. So he wrote the poem for PGT when he died in 1893. But I'm glad to see that Norbert is honored here on this walkway that goes from Tulane to Canal. And you can see behind me, we'll continue real quick, are a bunch of other plaques. So let's go. I'll show you the rest of what we got here as we cross over and get to the last memorial. There's a gentleman riding a horse. I don't get that. I never knew like the Tulane and Canal were known for horseback riding, but you can see this guy coming up with his horses. So we see McDonough schools funded, St. Louis Cathedral, Gallier Hall is dedicated in '53, French Opera House, Algiers, 1870, Carrollton, were absorbed by the city. 1883, California train service. That was done by Jefferson Davis, who started that in 1854. That's a big deal right there. California train service to New Orleans. The Cotton Exposition of 1885. Mother Cabrini, the Italian orphanage. No Italians, huh? Street lights in '88. The monument to McDonough. Oh, here's a big one everybody loves. 1899, the Sewage and Water Board of New Orleans is founded. How about that? And then 1901, the first Louisiana oil well. Here we go. First automobile traffic law in 1903. Louis Armstrong in 1900. 1905, last yellow fever epidemic. Now think about that, because yellow fever killed a lot of people in New Orleans. And you can see in our distance here, we got our horsemen. Okay, Justice White of New Orleans becomes the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in 1910. Chamber of Commerce is formed in 1913. Delta Steamship Lines, 1919. Industrial Canal. Pontchartrain. Here's a big one. 1927. The Mississippi River floods. That impact was phenomenal because that created all the levees that we now see. An amazing situation happened in the changing of the Mississippi and the Delta by putting all those levees, which we now see have caused a problem with coastal erosion. The Sugar Bowl in 1934. Huey Long in 1935. Well, 1945, International Trademark. That's the World Trade Center, which is still empty. We're almost done here. 1958, the Mississippi River Bridge. 1946, Chet Morrison. He was a big segregationist mayor that kept New Orleans for 14 years from desegregating. Ended up having to sue him. We got a big monument for him down the street at City Hall. And Betsy, obviously. The Superdome opens in 1975. And in 1976, we got our bicentennial. And I guess they left one to grow on. So I'm going to go here so you can see the corner. This is actually Elk Place. I thought it was Loyola. Change that. And there's Canal Street. Here's the Joy. remember going to see Jaws at the Joy. And here's a marker to Molly Marine. So Molly Marine here, 1943, the women that fought in World War II. Got to thank everybody that fought in that. And right behind us is the Joy Theater, where I remember going to watch Jaws play in 1974. Great intersection here. Like I said, I got a guy on a horse behind me, a few gnats flying around me, and a streetcar on this side. So you can see more markers here. This is a great place to walk and just learn a lot about New Orleans on this L. That's Rampart, and the other side is Loyola. Great way to learn about the history of New Orleans. So have a great day and save NOLA heritage. Thank you.